Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Jalen Jones. As the Winter Olympics get underway in Italy, organizers are doing something that would have been almost unthinkable decades ago. They're relying heavily on artificial snow to keep events on schedule. But this isn't just an Olympics issue. This is also happening here in North Carolina. North Carolina ski resorts are dealing with this too. WRAL climate reporter Liz McLaughlin has been reporting on how climate change is reshaping winter sports. From the Italian Alps to the slopes in western North Carolina. Liz, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, no problem. No, the Winter Olympics is buzzing. We have it all over in the newsroom. What drug you to this part of the story? I know you're a climate change reporter. What perked up your ears about this story?
Well, I've covered 3 Olympics and 1 Winter Olympics, and just what really stands out from a climate perspective is just the scale of artificial snow that's really needed to even make these games possible. So organizers in Milan-Cortina for the Winter Olympics have already produced more than 56 million cubic feet of machine-made snow, and they're expected to use about 250 million gallons of water. To do that, that's roughly 380 Olympic-sized swimming pools, just to put it into perspective. And that's just for snowmaking. So that level, of reliance isn't a backup plan anymore. It's really essential infrastructure to make this happen. And it really reflects this longer-term trend, right? I mean, winters are getting warmer, they're getting shorter, and they're just getting more unpredictable. So really what's different now, it's not about one bad winter. Scientists say the conditions that really made the Winter Olympics possible in so many places is disappearing.
And we don't want to get rid of the Winter Olympics, which is why they're trying to do artificial snow. This is a lot of snow. Can you put into context a little bit how much snow is just being produced just so we can have this television product where athletes can compete? How much snow is that again?
Yeah, 380 Olympic-sized swimming pools of water being made into snow. And, just to put it in perspective in previous years, I think the first time that they used artificial snow at an Olympics was Lake Placid. It was, I think, 1980. And then in 2014, in Sochi, 80% was artificial snow, 90% in Pyeongchang, and then in Beijing, it was pretty much 100% artificial snow.
Wow.
So more and more reliance just to make these games possible.
Wow, and I know the indoor sports, they don't have this issue. It's the outdoor sports that are struggling with this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. What is happening to winter itself?
So there's a lot of trends. I spoke with Christina Dahl. She's the vice president for science at Climate Central about this. She explained that basically across the northern hemisphere, snow cover and snow depth have been declining for about a century. And climate change is really the main driver of that. One key point that she made is that it's not just about less snow, it's about less reliable snow. And we've seen that here in the Triangle, right? We've seen warmer winters by about 5 degrees since 1970. And if you just look at our snowfall rate, reported on this a couple weeks ago, we saw some storms this year. But last year it was a 3-year snow drought before we saw substantial snowfall in the Triangle. Exactly. So it's something that's happening now too here locally at home. And basically when winter temperatures hover near freezing, small changes matter a lot. That can be the difference between wintry mixed mess, rain, and that fluffy snow we all love. And sometimes snow melts during the day and refreezes into ice overnight, which is a problem if you're an Olympic athlete, trying and those little changes in the texture of the snow, they might change your speed, they might change everything you've been training for your whole life.
Well, yeah, my brain's running a couple miles per hour because I know last week in January 2026, North Carolina had a couple feet of snow that we could have donated to the Winter Olympics with the previous winter weather patterns as well. But
one funny thing about that too, I took a ski trip to Colorado. Planned it months in advance, and they are experiencing a snow drought. It is record low snowpack than there's ever been there. I mean, it's bad. I mean, especially for people who live there. If you're used to skiing on the East Coast, then you're like, whatever. But literally that weekend, dumping snow here, 10 inches of fresh snowfall near my parents' house in Banner Elk, North Carolina. I could have just stayed here.
Wow. This is baffling. The places that usually get snow, they're not getting it. The places that don't get snow, we're getting it. And I can understand what you mean about reliability on snow. It's not, you can't really make plans around the weather. The weather just happens. So I can imagine you talked a little bit before about Beijing being 100% artificial snow. We've seen artificial snow before. How is it happening more often? What's going on there in regards to how the frequency of using artificial snow?
And as you mentioned, that reliability is the problem because they plan for the Olympics years in advance. So it's not like they can just change it depending on when it's going to snow, right? They're bringing in people from all over the world. It has to be reliable conditions. And so resorts all over the place just to keep the lifts running are relying on artificial snow. The technology has gotten a lot better. There's some that can even make snow in 60-degree weather. They basically have a kind of box inside. The Tubing Hill at Beach Mountain Resort has that. So, they're like, hey, we're going to be open no matter what the conditions are. They can kind of make a base, at least, to cover through those patchy days. And now in Milan-Cortina, we're seeing the same pattern. They're obviously using some artificial snow, too. And with growing concern about the warming temperatures. So February temperatures in Cortina have risen about 6.4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's a lot.
Since the games were last held there in 1956. And that cuts out roughly 41 freezing days per year. So that's more than a month.
So you were in Western North Carolina a couple weekends ago. Which resort were you at?
So I was at Beach Mountain Resort.
Mountain Resort.
Yeah, this is actually like a homecoming for me. I actually worked in the snowboard shop
Oh.
on Beach Mountain it used to be called the Red Baron Room. So we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun there growing up, snowboarding. But I remember even then, I won't say how old I am. Many moons ago when I was in high school, we'd have snow days. At high school, you get a $5 lift ticket, and it was always open. By Thanksgiving. We were always snowboarding on Thanksgiving.
Ready to go.
And that is not a guarantee now, for sure. And always through March. And now it's kind of, it just depends.
Wow, that's rough. And you talking about the culture of the mountains and those things that you guys are able to do as a youth, growing up in the country, people go hunting, people go fishing, people in the mountains in North Carolina, they like to go snowboarding, skiing. And you see this climate change starting to affect the culture and the fabric of these communities and changing as well. So is artificial snow the answer for those teenagers that are waiting to snowboard with their friends in Western North Carolina? Let's say it's 2027. There's not enough snow on the ground in Thanksgiving. Is artificial snow the answer?
It really is. I mean, resorts have just become more and more reliant on them. The technology is getting better, so they're able to produce more snow with less energy. And that can really, once there's a dip in freezing temperatures, they can really blow out a base, right? It's kind of how we talk about it in the snowboarding world, really get a base. So even if it rains, we talked about the warming temperatures. 5 degrees might not seem like much, but that's the difference between snow and rain often. But they could get through those kind of patches of warmth, a rainy day, something like that, because they're able to build up that base in between. And Beach Mountain, I'll say, has had one of their best seasons in recent years. A lot of natural snowfall here, which is ironic while we're having this snow drought out west. And I actually spoke with Talia Freeman, who's Beach Mountain's director of marketing, about how they've changed operations. Yeah, does snowmaking now feel like kind of a backup plan or more kind of a core part of just ski resorts these days?
It's absolutely a core part. It's all the North Carolina ski resorts, us included. It's a major investment, a big part of what we do. It's a core part of our employees, and that's how we get open, that's how we stay open, that's how we retain jobs, and it's incredibly important.
And Beach Mountain really has invested heavily in this upgraded snowmaking systems, like many resorts around there, improving technology. And again, that just allows crews to take advantage of those cold windows. And scientists say that artificial snow helps, but it does have limits because the snowmakers still require, most of them, what you see on the mountain, not the tubing one I was talking about that can do it in 60-degree weather. Most of them do require near freezing temperatures and also relatively dry air. And climate change has also changed some of the humidity kind of factors in the climate because warmer air holds more moisture. So as warming continues, those kind of windows will shrink. And climate scientists described kind of a snow loss cliff, where once temperatures cross a certain threshold, the snow just declines rapidly.
Oh man, that one is going to hurt because I am a snow advocate and I love the snow. So let's wrap this up. We have a time machine. Fast forward, it's 2050. What is the future for the Winter Olympics?
So there was a study actually about this, and there's about 93 kind of past and potential Olympic host locations for the Games. And this study found that by the 1950s, only 52 would still have reliable conditions. So about half, 55%, even if countries meet their current climate pledges, which is a question mark. And only about a tiny handful, about 4, would be able to host the Games without snowmaking. So that's just how reliant we've become for winter sports. And, a new sport this year at Milan-Cortina is this event called Skimo. And it's basically something that doesn't require quite as much infrastructure as, say, downhill, grooming and a whole mountain of snow. And so we might see that direction, into, things that can just be more able to happen with the climate. Also, we're seeing some indoor ski resorts pop up. So, you might be something like the half pipe is in a warehouse where you can really control the conditions and make that snow. If it's a situation where the conditions won't be reliable. But really our choices of where to have it, and there's so many other logistical things in play to figure out who and where can host the Olympic Games. That it might involve some changes to the sport or to the programming, or really just athletes having to kind of figure some things out, be more resilient themselves to various conditions, whether it be slushy or icy, and still trying to perform and get that gold. The outlook is even worse for the Paralympics, though, I'll say, because that's held later, in the season. It's even more dicey.
Yeah, my brain is still trying to calculate all of this because I can imagine you have a much shorter winter, less precipitation. These athletes, they have to practice sometimes somewhere where can they practice? And we understand that the Winter Olympics as a product is still going to happen. It's still going to happen. It's how it happens. That's the next question as well. That's what I can see going on and the conversation point as we move forward.
And I will say, all the ski resort operators talking to, the technology is getting really good for this snowmaking. They can bang out a lot. I talked to someone at Snowshoe, and they could cover a whole football field in like an hour. So, because of this technology, they're really able to take advantage of, again, those small windows of time where they could make snow. So there is promise, and I don't think Winter Olympics, winter sports are going away anytime soon. It's just there's going to be a lot of challenges, a lot of resources needed to keep making it happen.
A lot more investment to make it happen.
Jalen, what's your favorite winter sport?
What's my favorite winter sport? So I really want to learn how to ski and snowboard really soon.
You haven't been?
I haven't been to a ski resort. So there's a lot of things that are on my bucket list that I just want to go and check out. But I love winter. I love it. It's in my soul. I'm from Missouri, so I just enjoyed a couple winters there with the family as well. So it is on my bucket list. Do you have any suggestions for me to start off?
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of from Western North Carolina, so beach and Sugar Mountain are pretty good ones out there.
Okay.
That's not too far to drive from here, but beach is the locals mountain, so
Okay.
I always have to go for that one. They even have a little bar on top and live music sometimes, so big fan of that one. It's a great place to learn too, because it's not so overwhelming like a 1.5 mile run in powder that you might face out west, so it's pretty approachable. You'll have fun.
Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for that. I got some things to do. Well, I'm not going to do it this summer, but definitely when the next winter comes around, you'll probably catch me at Beach
You
Mountain.
still got time. Get out there. Get out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get out there. I won't prolong it as well. Well, Liz, thank you so much for your time for this, and you can catch all of this on WRAL.com. All your reporting dealing with climate change, the Winter Olympics as well. You've done a fantastic job, and we are going to yap another time about how many Olympics you've been to, because that's another story within itself. Okay, so again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me. Can't wait to talk again, and follow me on Instagram at That Reporter.
That reporter, you gotta love it.